This is how you build a 1000 horsepower 765 LT. So the McLarens, every time you put them on the dyno, you need to put them into dyno mode. So dyno mode, it disables the traction control completely on the car, allowing the rear wheels to spin independently of the front wheels. So there's always, with the dyno mode, you can put them in two-wheel drive dyno mode or four-wheel drive dyno mode. We've obviously got two-wheel drive axle hub, but if you had a four-wheel drive linked dyno, you'd go ahead and stick it in four-wheel drive mode. So we'll put it in two-wheel drive. There you go, you can come up, ESC fault, diagnostics active on the screen, and then you're good to go. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is connect our data logger and do a pull stock. The reason why we do this is, well, this car is new to us, right? So we wanna make sure that everything is 100% before we go ahead and tune it. One way to do it would be to, take it on the highway and drive it hard. Or you can put it on dyno and do a pull in fifth gear. Data log it, and that will tell you everything that you need to know about the car through the various sensors on the engine. If something's not quite right, it will flag that up, and we can address it before we tune it. Because if we dive right in and tune the car and say it had an underlying issue or an underlying sensor that was faulting, it makes our life a little bit difficult trying to diagnose something when the car's being tuned, because then you don't have a clean slate. So we'd like to do this just to start things off as a clean slate. We're gonna go ahead and connect our data logger to the car. So this is more of a generic data logger for the stock cars. Now, when we send the ECU off to M Engineering, which we will show you guys in a bit, they put custom code on the ECU to allow us to data log the sensors at 100 Hertz, which is a lot more critical for tuning. But this allows us to data log the sensors at 10 Hertz. It's not great, but it's something. In order to data log faster, we need to put custom code onto the ECU to log the RAM variables directly. Stock car, usually the 765s make around 750, 760 wheel horsepower. Really good numbers. As comparison, a 720 makes 720 wheel. So we will be looking between 740 and 760 today. It's 32 degrees ambient, it's pretty toasty. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do some pulls, see what it does. Open the car, we're gonna put the powertrain in track mode and active panel on. Put the handbrake off. On these cars, you always need to put the handbrake off before going into dyno mode. Otherwise, it doesn't let you put the handbrake off, which is a nightmare. One of the things that is different on the 765 to all of the other McLarens, other than the 750S, is it's got a different final drive. So you do need to match the RPM differently to the dyno, just because of the final drive. So we're gonna go ahead and match that now. So we have something called engine RPM to hub RPM, and what that does is it allows the dyno to calculate the RPM of the engine using the hub RPM, and depending on what gear you're in. So we do the pulls in fifth gear because there's quite a bit of load in fifth gear. The more load, the better for tuning. Fifth gear, 3000 RPM. So you see I can just bump it up on the plus button on the keyboard, bring it to 3000 and lock it. So that's the dyno now locked, and it knows Japanese import. Yeah, we're gonna need to remove that from the car. Yeah, so basically what I've just told the dyno is that 3000 RPM in fifth gear is X amount of hub RPM, right? So it uses that calculation to figure out what 0 RPM is and what 8,500 RPM is. So it's pretty clever that way. We don't need to hook any cables up to the ignition coils or anything to get the RPM. So now we're gonna go ahead and do a ramp test. What this does effectively is it loads the car up. So there's no benefit in dynoing the car when there's no load on it. So the big retarders on each side of the axle, they add load to the engine, and basically we're stressing the engine out whilst seeing how much power it makes when it's stressed out. because if it was doing it without any stress, it would make more power, right? And that's inaccurate. Open throttle, and boom, start the pull. Oh, 770. Nice numbers. So yeah, I was expecting around 760, but made 770. Nice, healthy car. So on the data logs, we're looking for if boost is not being met, if the fuel pressure is crashing, if there's any cylinders that are knocking excessively, which they shouldn't be, if wastegate duty on bank one is higher than the other, if the lambda targets are off, checking the cams as well on the engine to ensure they're all within spec. But yeah, just going through all the sensors that are available to us on a stock car to make sure, you know, car's good to take more power. Not bad, 770 wheel, 550 foot-pounds. I think we're going to turn that up a little bit. It is now 38 degrees in the dyno cell. Like, remember, the hotter it gets, the harder it is for a car to make power. Alright, with the baseline dyno runs out the way, we've now pulled the ECU out of the car. We're going to put this ECU into a box, ship it to USA, to M Engineering. They're going to put their M-Tuner suite on it and send it back to us. We use the M-Tuner suite because it gives us so much control over the stock ECU. Things that you just wouldn't usually have on a stock ECU, like the engine safeties, rolling launch control, map switching, and a host of other features. Like, the list is endless. It gives us full control over the stock ECU. So you can effectively think of it as, you know, we're putting a whole aftermarket ECU onto your stock ECU whilst keeping the stock-like drivability. Again, it also allows us to data log at 100 Hertz. We'll put the ECU back into the car and then we'll tune it. So when the ECU is stock and I'm using a different diagnostic tool to data log the engine, it only allows me to log at 10 Hertz. That means it checks what the sensor is doing 10 times per second. But with the M-Tuner suite, it allows us to check at 100 Hertz. So that's 100 times per second. The sample rate for when you're tuning and reading data logs is just so much better. You're getting the data off that sensor 100 times in 1 second instead of, you know, 10 times in 1 second. It gives us more accuracy when we're tuning, because of course, remember, when you're doing a dyno pull, it's all of 12 seconds from 1500 RPM to 8,500 RPM. So, you know, there's not a lot of time there for the data to be compiled. With the OEM safeties, you don't have as much control over what the car is doing. So unless, you know, something is critically wrong and you start getting fault codes for it, it won't actually cut power on the car. Whereas with the M-Tuner suite, if it's, you know, picking up an early coil pack failure, a weak spark plug, if the fuel pump is weak, if it's overboosting, underboosting, various different things, it will trigger an engine safety to stop you causing damage to the engine. We have the ECU coming back for the 765LT later on today from M Engineering. We're now fitting its hardware upgrade, so we're taking it from a stock car to a 1,000 horsepower car. So this is our stage 2 package. As part of our stage 2 package on the 765s, we swap out the engine mounts. We swap them out from the 765 to 720S engine mounts. So the 765s and the Senna, they use the same engine mounts. They're super aggressive. It's good if it's a car you're going to use on a racetrack every day, but if you're using it on the street, it's a little bit too aggressive. So that's why we swap them out with the 720S engine mounts. Otherwise, you've got all of the panels inside the car shaking, you know, the rear windows that are made of plexiglass, the roof scoop, everything just vibrating all the time. So nice add-on. It's one of the main reasons why the 765 wasn't as successful, because it's a little bit too aggressive for the street. So we also swap out the air filters on the car. So this is a BMC air filter, and this is the stock air filter that's in the car. The stock air filters filter all the way down to around 10 microns. The BMCs do an even better job than the stock air filters. They filter all the way down to 7 microns. Not only do they filter better, but they also flow better due to the design. So more surface area, more flow, better filtration. And we also swap out the inlets. So the plastic air inlets are not so much of a flow restriction as they are just a weak point inside the car. So this is sound baffle, right? So they installed this little chamber here on the stock inlet to reduce the amount of turbo noises that are going or coming out of the car. There's a plastic baffle in there, and over the years with the heat and obviously the increased airflow of a tuned car, the baffle collapses and it finds its way into the turbocharger. That's obviously not good because it damages your turbocharger. So what we do is we swap them out with a one-piece silicon inlet, all right? So this is a one-to-one copy. These flow better and they have no moving parts inside. So it's a lifetime part that won't fail. We're also going to swap out the recirculating valves in the car. So this is a Turbo Smart blow-off valve. This not only seals better to deal with the higher boost pressures, but on liftoff at high RPM, you also get that blow-off valve sound, and they sound wicked. So we'll be installing these. And last but not least, we will be swapping the downpipes out on the car. So this is a stock downpipe. On the stock downpipe, you've got not just one, but two cats. You've got the primary cat down here, and then you've got a secondary cat. These cats not only reduce the flow of the engine, they also reduce the noise. So for maximum noise and flow, we're going to fit these decat downpipes in so we can get some flames out of the car as well. This is what we do as part of our stage 2 package. We're also doing a quick service on the car. We're going to regas the AC system as well because the AC system on the 765s suck. And then we'll be shipping it off to Europe for the client to enjoy over the summer. We are also going to be putting CarPlay into this one as well, because the only McLaren model that comes with CarPlay at the moment is the 750S. So nice add-on, you know, with it being an older car, it's nice to be able to get CarPlay onto these, and it works so well. Like, it just works. One of the other things that we do as well when we're working on build, we carry out all of the software updates on all of the modules. We're doing an oil change and, of course, a full health check of the car to ensure it's 100%. Once all the hardware upgrades are installed, we're going to move it onto the dyno. We'll be tuning this one in particular on pump gas and on race gas. So on pump gas, we expect to make around 800 to 830 wheel, depending on ambient conditions in the dyno cell. This one stock made around 770. Now, it's not a crazy difference on pump gas, but you need to remember, this is a 720S engine with the 720S turbos. They've already extracted 760, 770 wheel out of the 720S setup. So there's not too much further that we can go with that whilst keeping things safe, because it's all about keeping the setup safe. We are going to be tuning it on race gas as well. So on race gas, we expect to see around 950 wheel, with the combustion quality of race gas being so much better than pump gasoline. We can run the engine a lot harder safely. I can call you right now, I've been drinking, and I know that I say what I'm thinking. My whole life I was drawn to the deep end, I'm really sinking. Why do I tell myself that I do the best I can? Really good numbers on this. 810 wheel horsepower, 596 foot-pounds. This is limited, right? So with this being a stock engine without upgraded connecting rods, we don't push it past 850 wheel maximum in winter. and 600 foot-pounds, it doesn't go above. So it's torque limited to 600 foot-pounds. Our hub dyno measures the horsepower at the wheels. Generally, when a manufacturer tells you the horsepower numbers of a car, they tell you at the crankshaft. But obviously, for us to measure the horsepower at the crankshaft, it wouldn't be too accurate. So generally, a good rule of thumb is 13% drivetrain loss on these cars. So if this made 810 wheel, we do 13%, you're closer to between 950 and 1,000 crank. These are really good numbers. It is 35 degrees ambient right now, 70% humid, 3,000 DA for those of you that know. So it's really, really tough conditions for these cars, with this being in Dubai. And yeah, this is a setup that we know is going to be safe, and it's going to last for, you know, track days, hotter days, winter, summer. The owner can just pound on it every day without any issues. We run them at around 0.79 lambda, 16.5 degrees of ignition, and 1.6 bar of boost. And those are the numbers that we know that work, and we're able to repeat the reliability of these engines with that setup. Now wrap this car up. It's got our famous stage 2 package on it. That's downpipes, inlets, air filters, and blow-off valves, and of course the M Engineering tune. It makes 800 wheel on bump gas and around 1,000 wheel on race gas. It's finally done. I'm gonna hand it back over to the owner, and it's got a really nice touch on it to finish it off. You probably noticed when it was on the dyno, it didn't have a spoiler on there. The reason for that was we took the spoiler off, we sent it to MSO in the UK, and we had them put a really nice touch onto the car. So what they did was they took the original spoiler and they removed the paint from it. So they exposed the carbon fiber. What a lot of people don't know about the 765s is the majority of the panels on there are already carbon fiber, including the spoiler. So they exposed all of the carbon fiber on there. They put their MSO template on there, and then they painted over it. So the top is partially painted and the lower is completely exposed in carbon fiber. And it's got a beautiful blend going on here with an MSO logo. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's ultra rare to see this on a 765 LT. It's the perfect finisher for this car because you don't usually see a 765 LT with every single carbon fiber optional extra.